I wanted to go over a couple things, okay? Just real quick. And it's this. I know several of you just got done participating in Super Saturday. Can we get a show of hands? Who was at an event anywhere in Canada or anywhere? I know somewhere in Vegas, okay? All right, good job. You guys get extra bonus points for that. I hope it was a good event. I know the one that I attended in Toronto, fantastic event. I see some of you on here that were at that event. Hopefully you're nodding your head agreeing. Yeah, yeah, Lou saying, yep, I was definitely there. Great event. Autumn Calabrese worked us over with hammer and chisel. I know we had great events in Montreal. Okay, they had over 300 at their Super Saturday event. Ottawa, who held their second ever, they had over 100. Quebec City, nearly 200. Nova Scotia, nearly 200. And just, we're growing, guys. Okay, it's exciting to see Canada and the progress that we're making and the momentum that's building. Arnold Nakaha, who you may have seen just leave right now, he's headed out of the office. It's his wife's birthday. So he's like, I can't be there. Tell everybody I have a good reason. So, you know, if you talk to Arnold or message him, say, hope you execute on the birthday, man, because he's got a lot of pressure going for him on this one. So, no, we're going to get going, guys. But with that said, lots of momentum in Canada right now. We have, those in Toronto heard me say this on stage, we have right now 71 days left in the year. Okay, no pressure. That's 10 weeks. 10 weeks left in the year, 71 days. And I know several of you I talk with frequently, some of you not as much, but I know we all have goals. Okay, we have goals in terms of our health, in terms of our coaching, in terms of our personal lives, fitness, whatever it is. I want you to push hard for those goals in the next 10 months, weeks, not months, months too, but you get the point. Let's push hard for the end of the year. When we get to the end of the year, I don't want you to look back on this year and say, man, I have this regret, or I wish I would have tried this, or I wish I would have worked harder or worked smarter. I wish I would have got outside my comfort zone. I wish I would have talked to that person when I had the chance. Let's get to the end of the year and be able to look back, guys. And even if we don't hit our goals, which I'm pretty sure we'll all hit them if we push like that, at least we can look back and say, I have no regrets. That is way more fulfilling to be able to do that. Look back on your journey, look back on your progress with no regrets than any rank, than any success, than any recognition, than any payout can ever be. If you have that sense of fulfillment, that sense of enjoyment that you did your best, okay? And we're going to hear how Morgan Rieger does her best today. But I don't want you to look at everyone else and say, I have to do Morgan Rieger's best. I have to do Jessica Hill's best. I have to do Julia Lefebvre's best. I have to do top coach in Canada. She's going to hate that I introed her like that. Jen Wall's best. She's nodding her head like you're an idiot. Don't do that. Do your best, okay? We're all on our own journey. We're all on our own coaching story. Do your best, and that'll be so fulfilling. 71 days, okay? With that said, we're going to get right to our guest of the hour. You guys know her. You've seen her. She is a 2014 elite coach. She is currently a part of our newly formed Saskatchewan Market Council. She was a featured presenter at New Leader Conference last year, which I know several of you are going to be attending for the first time in January, and several of you are pushing to attend as well. Also, to give her another intro, she's probably one of the most humble, fun to talk to, which she will say she's a total introvert, but I don't believe it. Fun to talk to, caring, just outgoing people you'll meet. And we're excited to have Morgan Rieger on the call. So Morgan, I'm going to kick it over to you and give you a chance to just introduce yourself to, you know, the group and, you know, share with us a little bit about Power Hour and how you execute on that. And I'm going to give you the reins here. Now, how it will work, guys, while Morgan's sharing that, we'll have a little Q&A at the end. I have a couple questions I'll hit with Morgan, but if you guys have questions that you want to throw out to Morgan about anything, about Power Hour, about her, about coaching, whatever, post those in the group chat, which if you can't see that, you can now, because I just told you hi. Post them there. I'll get them recorded, and we will get them to Morgan. So with that said, Morgan Rieger, the mic is yours.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. Do you want me to dive right into my topic or like intro myself a little? You're muted.
I'm totally muted. Yeah, I would love to have you introduce yourself a little bit better than I did. Just tell people kind of your background, your story, how you got started, you know, kind of high level, and then, yeah, let's get into your topic. So.
Okay, sounds super. So, hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking your time here evening to join me. Like Jeff said, my name is Morgan. I'm from a little prairie town in Saskatchewan called Melville. And I kind of got into Beachbody really randomly. I actually have been doing their products since I was probably in about grade 8. My older sister bought Turbo Jam, and she didn't end up doing it, but I ended up doing it. And so I'd have my girlfriends over, and we do Turbo Jam to Chalene Johnson, and like ever since then, I've just loved Beachbody. And 2 years ago, when I was starting my first year of teaching, I decided to get a new at-home fitness program from Beachbody, and that's actually when I just came across the Beachbody coaching tab and said, cool, Beachbody is coaches. And I literally just signed up. I actually bought Beachbody, then paid the $40 to sign up, then bought Shakeology. So I literally paid the maximum amount you could pay to sign up to be a coach, because I didn't know my sponsor coach. I actually knew nothing. I didn't really fall in love with Beachbody until I started learning what it was, and that was actually after I signed up. So it was kind of just my love for the products that really got me started. And coaching, I just kind of fell into randomly and ended up loving it. So that's kind of how I got into it. So I've got a bit of a, can I dive in, Jeff? Yeah? Okay. Yep. I've got a bit of a PowerPoint that I made up. I'm going to flip my screen and kind of share the slides as I go along. But if you want the slides later, just let me know and I can send them to you too. So I'm just going to flip my screen. There we go. Can you see that okay, Jeff?
Absolutely. This is why we love Morgan, guys. Look how prepared she is. Presentation, dialed in. And what we'll do, guys, rather than you guys messaging Morgan, sorry to interrupt, Morgan, rather than maybe you guys messaging Morgan saying, hey, can I get that? Morgan, if you want to send it to me, I'll actually post it up on the Facebook page, the coaches page for individuals. So sorry, go for it.
Sure, that sounds perfect. So for those of you on the phone, I'll talk through it so you know what I'm talking about too. But basically the topic is how to get organized and live a stress-free life, time to say goodbye to feeling overwhelmed. And the reason I created this topic was basically because when I was visiting with my coaches and other coaches, the word overwhelmed always came into their vocabulary, and saying things like, this Beachbody, I just don't know if I have time for it in my life. I feel overwhelmed. There's too much. And what confused me is because I didn't feel like that. I'm like, how do you feel overwhelmed? I don't know. And I guess, as you can see, I am a very organized person. It was just like molded into me from when I was growing up. But I learned a way to get Beachbody into my life and not feel stressed or overwhelmed. So I'm like, hey, if I can teach people how I'm doing this, they can realize that, yeah, Beachbody is not the thing that's hampering them or causing them to feel stressed. It's just that Beachbody, they haven't put Beachbody into their life in the appropriate way that works for them. That's basically what I'm going to teach through here.
Okay.
All right. So these are the steps we're going to chat about. There's 5 of them. Determine your priorities, making decisions that line up with your priorities, planning your power hour, working off a bell schedule, and how to be laser focused. So this is how I incorporate Beachbody into my life in a stress-free way. And just so you know, I do not do Beachbody full-time technically. I grew my Beachbody business. Actually, I started my first year of teaching and my first year of Beachbody coaching literally in the exact same month. So I grew my Beachbody business for about an hour a day from 5 to 6 a.m. every single morning for the first year as I was a full-time teacher. I did quit teaching to technically be a Beachbody coach full-time, but I actually now run a double franchise with my fiance now. So technically I do that full-time and Beachbody. So I get it about busy, and that's how I had to make this work for me, because I am not about stress or being overwhelmed. All right, so step 1 that I did was basically determining my priorities. So what I did and what you can do is basically I had to decide what did I need to feel in order to feel successful in this business. And in order to do that, I basically broke my page into 2 sides. What made me feel good and what made me feel pain. And I kind of got this idea from this book I'm reading right now by Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. about priorities. So figuring out what makes you feel good and what makes you feel pain. So it was basically things like, what makes me feel good? Well, having extra time with my family, getting my workout in each day, having time to really dive into personal development and invest in myself. And then things that kind of made me feel pain were if I was rushed during the day, if I couldn't fit my workout in, if I had to say no to my family or friends because I was too busy working, if I missed a family night because I had scheduled a call that night, that made me feel pain because my family was disappointed in me. So it's basically splitting your page. What makes you feel good? And what makes you feel pain? And from there, I reflected on that list and I pulled out 5 things that I wanted to be my top priorities. I basically thought about it, what 5 things do I need to have happen in my life in order for me to feel successful? And that looks different for everybody. I am not a rank-driven person. I am not an income-driven person. I am driven by things like having extra time with my family. I have time to do whatever workout I want. I don't have to just work out for 15 minutes. I can, go down into my basement and enjoy my time. I've got an hour to actually read personal development and let it soak in. Things like that. So obviously, if you have kids, investing time into them is probably at the top of your list. If you have a spouse, having them at the top of your list is probably something as well, obviously. I hope so. So picking 5 top priorities that you need to be there for you to feel happy, okay, and successful. So that is the first step, determining those 5 things. The second step is making decisions that line up with your priorities. And this was the biggest learning curve for me. If you are a people pleaser, any people pleasers out there, raise your hand. I definitely was. It's like anytime anybody would ask me a question, yes, I'll do that. Like, yes, I can help you. Yes, I'll do that call. Yeah, let's get together for a coffee. Yes, yes, yes. And what that ended up doing was making me more and more and more and more unhappy because the decisions I was making, I thought were good because I was saying yes to everything, but they weren't lining up with my priorities. So basically, if I was asked to do a call, and I knew my family wanted to do a family night that night, but I said yes to the call. That does not line up with my priority of honoring my family first. So of course I'm going to feel upset. That's where the disconnect, I think, with coaching is. It's just happening you're working on your business at a certain time that you should be honoring your other priorities. Therefore, you feel stress. Of course, if you accept a business call when you're supposed to be with your family, you're going to feel stressed and like Beachbody's a burden. When Beachbody isn't the issue, it's just that you're scheduling it at a specific time that should be devoted to your priorities. So we'll get into how to schedule that later, but that's the key point of this call because talking with my coaches and they feel stressed and overwhelmed, it's like, no, Beachbody is not the problem. And that breaks my heart because it's like Beachbody can be the ultimate solution for you, but you're just not weaving it into your life in the correct way that's honoring your priorities. So basically when you make a decision, or when I make a decision, I don't make an instant decision. I think about it. I think, okay, what do I have going on today? Does this line up with my priorities? Is this during my workout time? Then no, it's not happening because my priority is my workout. Is this during my family time? Yes, then sorry, I cannot do it at that time. I can reschedule for another time, but not during my priority time. Okay? And that's basically, I've got this line here, take the time to match it up with your priorities. Okay, so think about, does this honor my priorities or does it dishonor it? Because if it honors it, great. It's probably going to make you feel really good to do a call for people like I am right now. I didn't have anything else going on. So of course I feel good doing this. But if like my family was out having like a birthday party right now, I probably would have told Jeff, can I do it like another night? Because I'd feel bad not honoring my priorities at this time. So
wait, you're telling me that your family's more important than Arnold and I?
I just rescheduled, that's all. All right, step 3, planning your power hour based on your priorities. So how I work my business, I do not work it all day long. I know everybody works it differently, but I work my business in select hours because I obviously have some other businesses to run. And this is how I find I work most effectively. So you need to pick, if you want to work your business like this, you need to pick a certain time that lines up with your daily life. So for example, when I first started this, my power hour, because I was full-time teaching, I decided to put it after school from like 5 to 6. So within a month, I easily figured that out, that was not working. I was actually living with my parents at the time, and like people were home cooking supper. It was just like not working. So I'm like, you know what? I am moving my power hour to the morning. I'm getting up at 5. I'm doing it in the morning time when nobody else is awake. My family thought I was crazy doing this weird, they didn't even know what it was. Some still don't know what it is, but doing this thing in the morning. But that's when I did it, no distractions. So that's what worked for me. So you have to figure out what time in the day works for you. And then you have to create your power hour. What things do you want to do? So I've got it taped on my wall, and it's basically just the basics. You know, I'm going through my challenge groups. I'm checking in with my coaches. I'm responding to messages. I'm reading my personal development and posting about it, that kind of thing. So I created my power hour, what I want to get done. And then this is the key thing. Don't feel bad for doing your power hour. I've had so many coaches say, I feel bad doing my power hour. And you know what I ask them? I'm like, when do you have your power hour scheduled? And if they say, well, you know, in the evening time at 7 o'clock, I'm like, well, isn't your family up and doing family things and like getting ready for bed and all that stuff then? They're like, yeah, well, of course you feel bad doing your power hour then. Should not be your number one priority at that time. So you need to figure it out. And sometimes that takes sacrifices and getting up early or staying up late so that it doesn't interfere with those priorities. And then the last point, keep it realistic and doable. This is the biggest thing that I learned in the past year. My to-do list used to be at least 10 things long, at least. That would be my power hour plus 10 extra things. And that's when I started to feel stressed. I'm like, I don't have enough hours in the day to get this done. So I forget what podcast it was, but one of Chalene Johnson's, and she said, you should never have more than 3 things on your to-do list in a day. I'm like, girl, you are crazy. But I figured it out, a way to make it work. So literally, I've got my day planner. I use the Day Designer right now, but I'm like really picky on my day planner. So I picked a new one for next year. But I do my power hour, and then I only ever schedule 3 extra things. Yes, my list ends up getting really long, but part of my power hour to-do list is organize my schedule. So I will literally take my pencil and scratch things out and put them on different days so that I literally only have 3 things to do that day. Because then I always feel good. I always get them done. I can handle 3. But part of my power hour is scheduling. So I look at my week and I schedule and I move stuff around to make it work for just having 3 things a day. So step 4, this is my working off a bell schedule. So I pulled the example of when I worked full-time so that hopefully a lot of you, if you still work full-time, can relate to it. So working off a bell schedule is something I found that works best for me in order to honor my priorities and make sure I get everything done. Like I said, I don't do Beachbody all day long. I don't have notifications turned on my phone. I don't have any of that. So this is how I did it when I was full-time teaching. On the left-hand side, I basically broke down what I need to do in a day and how much time it takes. So for example, I needed 30 minutes to read. I needed an hour to work out. I needed 2 hours Beachbody coaching time, about 8 hours at my job, an hour for supper and family time, and then 2 hours with Steven in the evening. So I basically took that and like implemented it into a day and figured out what time do I need to wake up and go to bed in order to get this happen, get all of this in. So basically for me, that was 5 a.m. So I'd get up at 5, I'd read, I'd do my Beachbody work, I'd get ready for work, go to work, come home, relax, and have some coffee, and then I'd work out, supper, relax time, and bedtime. So if you're on the phone, this kind of example we'll have it in the group, but it was basically figuring out what do I do in the day and then adjusting it. Because if you have a certain number of hours, but you're not waking up early enough to actually get those hours in, that's going to cause some issues. So that's where the little bit of give and take and sacrifice comes into play. If you need to get that all done, you might need to wake up a little bit earlier. All right. So last step is being laser focused. When I am doing my power hour, like I said, it's scheduled at a time where I'm not distracted, where I don't have to honor any other priorities. It's a good time. I feel positive about doing it because I've got nothing else calling me. But I need to be focused. Literally in that hour or 2 hours, I am on it. I do not scroll the Facebook newsfeed. I am working from a list. I've got my power hour to-do list, like I said, on my wall. If I'm doing messages, I'll respond right from the bottom up. And if somebody responds right away, I'm not going to get back to them probably until the next day I do my messages. And I know that doesn't work for some people. They want to unless I'm I need to get this order through or this coach signed up ASAP. But I work through my messages, and most of everybody knows they're not going to hear from me till the next day that I do my power hour. And that's just what keeps me sane personally. So I work off that power hour list. I stick to my bell schedule. As soon as my power hour is done, it's done. No distractions, like I said, and I give it my all, and I don't feel guilty. I do not feel guilty doing my power hour because I've scheduled it at a time where I don't have to honor any other priorities, which was at 5 a.m. when I worked full time. Now I have moved it to about 6 or 7 a.m. So the action steps, just to finish it off, are those 5 steps. First, you have to determine your priorities. What's really important to you? It's going to look different for everybody. And then commit to making decisions that line up with your priorities. It's hard to say no to some things. It's hard to say yes to some things, but you're going to feel much better and much more stress-free and happy when you're honoring your priorities, plus making Beachbody work. It's making Beachbody work in the right way, basically, is how I see it. Then plan your hour based on your priorities, determine your bell schedule, and then just commit to being laser focused. And that is what I did to basically weave Beachbody into my crazy life and still feel stress-free and like it's a positive thing. I'll just flip it back here.
Mic drop right there, Morgan.
I know that was a lot. Sorry, all at once.
No, that was great. That was great. And I know I was taking notes and, to share with some coaches that I do calls with, because oftentimes we hear, and I don't mean to kind of take the mic back from you, so feel free to continue to share, but, some of the things I love that you shared, oftentimes, guys, we always hear, yeah, make sure you're doing your power hour. Okay. Make sure you do that power hour. What does that mean? Right? How many of you have ever asked yourself that, or are currently asking yourself that same question? You've got one of the top coaches in the entire company of over 300,000 coaches, and one of the top in Canada telling you how she does it. Now, here's the thing. You're going to look at her presentation and you won't do it exactly like her. You shouldn't, because you got to make this your own. You got to do what Morgan said, and I took my notes here. What makes you happy? Okay? Not what makes Jeff and Arnold happy, not what makes Carl happy, not what makes your neighbor happy, what makes Jessica Hill happy, what makes Caitlin happy, what makes Amanda McNair happy, right? You've got to do what makes you happy. So I love that part. I'm sharing what I learned, and then we're going to hit her with some questions. So guys, make sure you get those in the chat box. We got some coming in now, so awesome. Also love the part where you talked about determining your priorities. That's the first step, okay? And how you included organizing your schedule into your power hour. Like, I think so oftentimes we think that that's part of personal development, or that's like a side thing outside of our power hour. No, guys, you've got to plan out what you want to do rather than going 100 miles an hour. Take a step back, strategize, and get ahead of the pack, right? There was a training at leadership, and Morgan heard this from Susan O'Malley, and she shared kind of 7 rules to success, and one of them was make sure you plan your work and then work your plan. I think what Morgan shared with her power hour and how she determines what makes her happy, what's important to me, what isn't, and then works that plan and stays committed to it, that is crucial execution right there. So some of the things that I learned, okay? So I know I drew some things. We've got questions coming in here that we will get to here in a second, but I think one of the things I draw from Morgan, guys, and I guess we're kind of putting her on a pedestal. That's one of the benefits of being on these training calls, is that she's really good at something that I refer to as humble execution. She just does it. Like I asked her when I first met her in Regina, what was it, like 3 months ago? And we talked together for like 2 hours, which Morgan Rieger does not do, right? She'll be the first to tell you. But I asked her, what's your secret sauce? What are you doing to be successful? And she said, I just do it. I don't know. Every day, I just do what works for me. And it's humble execution. She's not in your face. She's not bragging. She's not boasting. And I know all the coaches on this call are, but you've got to remember to stay humble, stay focused, and execute. And boy, I think what Morgan shares is a perfect recipe for success. So let's get to your guys' questions, okay? They're coming in right now. So Morgan, you're still on the hot seat here, okay? If you can answer 10 of these correctly, you'll win $1 million, okay? Just check in with Jen Wall. She'll be able to hook you up. She just went to Vegas, so she's probably got a hookup or something there. So our first one actually came from Amanda McNair, okay? And she wants to know, when you're posting, okay, on social media, which is an intricate part of what we do as coaches, she says, how do you consistently post on social media a few times per day if you're just working 1 hour on your business? How do you make it look like you're consistently doing that throughout the day? Great question.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And actually, so the first post was easy for me. It was part of my power hour and usually came from personal development. And I try and do 3 posts a day. So my next 2, basically, I believe in posting your real life. Like, I know a lot of coaches get caught up in, what do I post? What do I share? I'm like, just share you. Like when I was teaching, I'd take a photo of myself in my classroom, what I was eating for lunch, because like I had to eat on the go, like we know all teachers have to do. Or I would take a picture of myself in my car listening to personal development on my way to teaching. When I was working full time, the posts were as real as it gets. And I think that's a good thing because that shows people that, yeah, anybody can work this business when you're busy and on the run. You're lucky I'm doing this call actually at home because usually I'm doing these calls in our office at the store because that's just my real life. And I just think the posts, yeah, you have the few invites where you like spend a little more time making it look pretty, but I would just be like, make it real, make it, if you've got typos, who cares? The more real it can be, the more real people you're going to attract to.
Awesome. Hopefully that's helpful, Amanda. I think those are some great points there. So the next question from Leslie Pierman, one of our awesome brand new diamond coaches of just a few months, I think. Leslie's probably going to correct me because I'm probably wrong on that, but I think that's the case. She writes, Morgan, how did you begin to focus on the balance of helping your new coaches with focusing on your own business? That's something that a lot of coaches face. So those who have been on our new diamond trainings, they've heard of the 80-20 concept, but how did you, Morgan, figure out a balance of how to work with your leaders and your team while not getting away from what's made you successful? And that is, the daily non-negotiables essentially. So.
Right. This is a constant adjustment for me. I'm not perfect by any means, but this is where I found myself probably at about a year into the business. I really, that's where I kind of had an aha moment, where I started to have to split my time into team versus me, basically. So that's where I just simply adjusted my power hour. How could I make this power hour work for both my team and still working on my business? So it's not a matter of I need more time. It's just a matter of readjusting it and splitting up your time is how I did it. But it definitely took strategy. I wasn't one day just good at it. I really had to sit down and physically take my note off my wall and replan out how I was going to attack each day to give the appropriate amount of time to everybody. And as my team grows, it continually adjusts. Like for me, I only do team calls once a month because that's what works for me and my team. Some teams do them weekly, some do them twice a week. But you just have to keep in mind that this looks different for everybody based on what you have going on in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. Is you've got to run your own race. You guys have heard, some of you have heard Arnold Nakaha give, what do I say his last name? You guys know who he is. You've heard Arnold give his presentation on his whole marathon analogy, right? And it's all about running your own race. Okay. Don't compare, don't get caught up in everything going on except what your team and you are trying to accomplish, right? And that helps you stay grounded, helps you stay sane. So good point there. So this next question, Morgan, kind of goes into that whole balancing your time and your team and your own business. This one's from Lauren. She says, obviously you get a lot busier once you get a team. You know, you got your team you got to start working with, but she's finding it difficult to fill up her power hour. Okay, so maybe finding the things that she's passionate about or the things that she needs to accomplish during that time. Do you have any suggestions for when someone's starting out of how to fill that power hour effectively?
Girl, I totally get it. It's so funny how the power hour has changed from the start. I am the same. Literally, my power hour would be done in like 10 minutes at the start. I'm like, shoot, now what do I do? And you're right, it does get busier as you grow a team, of course. But to start, that's when I invested a lot more time into developing really great content in my posts, so I could attract the right people. So that's when I put more time into that. I put a lot of time into personal development and growing myself, because I knew if I wanted to grow a team, that just starts with growing me first. So, oh my gosh, last night.
Hey, no worries, guys. When a VP just stops in on your call.
Morgan, so sorry. Keep going. You're doing awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I did. But definitely know that your power hour changes completely. I'm with you. My power hour, let's get real, was 10 minutes to start off with. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little more than an hour now, obviously. But for the most part, when I was working full time, it was an hour.
Yeah. Nice. Good response. Great question. And I think all this information is just money, guys. I see a lot of people taking notes, or unless you guys are texting, don't text. You're probably selling challenge facts, but this is great content. So make sure you're dialed in here. So couple more questions, Morgan, and then you're off the hot seat. Okay. This is easy for you. This is nothing. So the next one is from Bev. Okay. Bev Giberson, one of our awesome leaders. Okay. She wants to know, with your like page. Okay. So your social media forums here. She says, why do you use your like page more than your personal page for posts? I see coaches do both, and I'm not sure which one to focus on. Is there a reason why you kind of work with your like page over the other one?
So as you'll see now, if you follow me, I do only use my like page. I tie it to Instagram to hit like two birds with one stone, but I don't really use Instagram per se. But actually, I only started using my like page a couple months ago. I had it, but it just sort of sat there because I thought it was the cool thing to do when I first signed up to be a coach. But I use my personal page, only my personal Facebook page, for the first 2 years that I coached, which is basically all the time I've coached. I've just recently transitioned to my like page to try something new and expand, but I was all personal page. I started a blog and a YouTube channel, all that stuff to just bank resources. But my number one target was my personal Facebook page. And it was funny because I started teaching the same time I started coaching. And literally, like a couple of weeks before I started coaching, I went through and deleted a ton of friends because I thought, as a new teacher, that's what you should do, and make sure your Facebook is in line. And then I was like, oh, shoot. So I started with about 200 friends on Facebook and slowly just added people and grew my network that way. And just recently, I've converted to my like page to try something new.
Nice. Great response. Hopefully that kind of gives you some insight there, Bev. Okay, so we'll do 2 more questions. Okay, they're picking your brain on social media, Morgan. So this is good. Lots of questions with this. This one is from Jessica Lemon. Okay, Jessica wants to ask, there's so many different areas of social media, right? I mean, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Periscope. I mean, they're all over the place. Do you just use Facebook, or do you use Instagram to talk to people out in the outside world or in person? Like, what are the forums? I guess she's wanting to know, what forums do you use with social media or for reaching out and making contacts?
Right. So I'll just tell you, I am not a social media guru. Honestly, Beachbody coaching has done wonders for my tech skills. Like, I've spent hours on YouTube tutorials. It's just ridiculous. But I mainly Facebook is my thing because it's user friendly. Like I said, I post on Instagram, but I basically just do it because you can hit two birds with one stone. Like when you post, you can check off the Facebook thing and it'll double post. That's basically why I do it. I've never had Twitter. I actually got Snapchat for the first time about a week ago because Steven made me get Snapchat. And so I'm Facebook because I like the way it works. I've got Pinterest, I've got a blog, I've got YouTube, but those are all just kind of like secondary. They're more to bank resources. Like YouTube's just to upload my team videos. The blog is just so I can send people there for the same questions they always ask. But Facebook is pretty much my go-to still. I'm always looking to expand, obviously, but I always tell my coaches 2 areas max, or else you'll be crappy in every area. I would just to really be good at.
Yeah, I love it. You know, it's the whole shotgun approach, right? I don't know if you know guns at all, if you shot a gun, if you shoot a shotgun, it's widespread, right? The bullets go in a spread out motion. When you're shooting a rifle or something that is not like that, it's dialed in, you're hitting a target precisely. It's the same thing that Morgan just shared. Don't always get so caught up in the shotgun approach, trying to cover so much ground at once that you're putting a little effort here, a little effort there, some here, some there. Find the 1 or 2 niches that work for you, which Morgan, it's been Facebook, and now she's starting to maybe branch out a little bit, and work it and nail that target each and every single time. So don't overcomplicate things. So go for it, Morgan.
And that comes in with the exact topic I just talked about. This business can easily be overwhelming because there's so much out there, which is kind of cool. We've got lots of opportunity, but it's hard for you to really narrow down and put your blinders on and focus on what you want to focus on. And I have to readjust all the time. I'm like, Morgan, what are you doing? Your brain is in a million places and your team is probably like, what are you on? So I really have to readjust and be like, okay, we're only doing this training right now. Like I'll have my monthly calendar, and if I notice I've got too much going on, I'll just readjust. I'm going to move some things to next month. They can wait, and we're going to focus on this month. Because the worst thing I want is my team to feel overwhelmed because they're new, they're starting. So I make sure that, just you're focused.
Just focus. That's all it takes, right? So there's more questions coming in. I want to do one more. Okay, I know Mish and a couple others had some questions. We're kind of crunched for time. But I want to get one from Marc La Liberté, one of our French-speaking coaches. Okay, because I know he typed this all perfectly in English and he did a great job. But it's a great question too. So Marc wants to ask, as you're doing your inviting during your power hours, when do you want to chat more with someone? Are you scheduling a call on the phone outside your power hour with them? Are you doing those one-on-one kind of approaches inside your power hour? I guess he's wondering, how do you do those kind of one-on-one calls with some of your up-and-comers, and how do you fit that into your power hour?
So some of you might not like this answer, but I'm going to say I never get on the phone unless somebody asks. And that's probably a fault of my own. Because my schedule with the store is so unpredictable, setting phone calls just does not work for me. I've accepted it, and it's just not in my daily schedule to set a bunch of phone calls. I love Zoom. Like our team gets together for Zooms all the time, but one-on-one phone calls probably aren't going to happen if you're talking to me. Dealing with people like prospects, coach prospects or challenge group prospects, for me, it's mainly through email and Facebook Messenger. I really love the voice app. I do use that a lot. But, my conversations might take a lot of time because, like I said, I only answer once per day. So that's one step of the conversation. So one day it'll be like, answer these 5 questions, so we can pick a challenge pack and I'll send you some videos. They'll answer. They're not going to get the videos to check them out from me until the next day. So yes, my conversations might move a little bit slower because it's one step per day, but that's personally what works for me. Obviously, if like the person's really like on it, I'll answer them sooner than the next day. I kind of get a feel for people, but that's just what works for me. That's kind of what's real for my life. So that's how I do it.
And guys, that is a testament again to make this business, make this coaching your own. Okay, personalize it. You don't have to do it like a Morgan Rieger does. You don't have to do it like a Amy Silverman does. You don't have to do it like a Miguel Carrasco does, or a Derek Farrell, or whoever you're looking up to or trying to emulate your business around, right? Make it your own and do what works for you, right? Because Morgan said something. You want to make it fun. You want to do the things that you enjoy, and you obviously want to get out of the comfort zone. And if you're not comfortable calling people or doing team calls, do it because you want to experience those new results and new things. But do what works for you, right? And I think that is a great point to kind of close that Q&A with. So I've got questions too. So I'm going to hit you with these, Morgan. We'll wrap it up, and we'll all go on our merry way for the rest of the week. But 3 questions we always ask on this bi-weekly call, okay, to all of these top coaches, okay? And it should give us some good insight. What is your number 1 fitness secret? You have a great transformation story. So what's your number 1 fitness secret?
What are you talking about, transformation? I don't really have a transformation story.
Oh, stop.
For me, the fitness side of things is what got me into this. I love fitness. I love it. I know a lot of coaches, it's like the worst part of their vital behaviors. It's my favorite. So my fitness secret is honestly just making that half hour, like the time you feel unstoppable. Like my time is usually at 7 in the morning. Steven's still sleeping. So I will take my pre-workout. I invested in some Bluetooth headphones so I wouldn't wake him up. I'll put on ridiculously loud music. I'll go in my basement and I just kill it. Like that's honestly the time where I feel the most like me. I feel unstoppable. And I think that's why I like to share fitness, is because it gives people a superpower. It's like, you guys know what I mean. Like when you're doing turbo fire, when you're killing insanity, it's like, come at me, bro. Like I'm unreal, So it's just like, make it your time. Do what you need to do. If you need to put on some gangster rap or some club music, I don't know. If that's what gets you pumped up, like just make it happen. Just make it your time to kill it.
Nice. I like it. Okay, number 2. What is your favorite personal development book, podcast, YouTube channel, forum? What's your favorite?
Okay. Personal development is my thing. I think this is where the biggest transformation came for me, because I only lost like 5 pounds in my transformation, really, physically. But
and that's what I meant with your transformation story, was your personal development.
Yeah.
She's gone from here to, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The mental side of things was the biggest difference for me. So the book I love the most is probably The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. If you want a book, I'm not going to lie, I'm not a strong reader. Like I can read, but I don't like it. But I am a podcast addict. I just binge listen to them all the time when I'm doing dishes, when I get ready in the morning, when I do laundry, anytime. So where's my phone? Oh, so I obviously love the Shalene Show because Shalene Johnson's kind of who got me into it. But I also just found a new podcast, and she's actually from Canada. She's in Alberta. It's called, sorry for the guys on here, but the guys would like it too. It's called Women Wanting More. Don't listen to it while your kids are around. She does kind of swear, but she's so like real and raw, and I just love it. I binge listened to it all the way to our Super Sunday. So it's called Women Wanting More. It's a little orange icon. So that's the podcast I love right now. And obviously I love TED Talks. I listen to those on YouTube all the time. TED Talks. You're muted, Jeff.
Oh, I'm so bad at it. I gotta see, I'm alternating. I'm posting links to the book you mentioned. I'll get this down, guys. One last question. What do you think separates successful coaches from those who maybe give up, fail, or fall short, or never get started?
So this one I remember when I first started coaching somebody or not first started, was about a year into it, and somebody asked me that, why are you successful and some people not? and first of all, I think levels of success differ for everybody, obviously. But for me, it was stepping away from teaching. And it took me a while to think about it because I personally don't consider myself anything special. Like, I just do what needs to be done and that's it. But I think Jeff actually helped me narrow that down. He's like, you get it done. And I finally realized that, yeah, I don't base this, what I do in this business each day off emotion. Like, if I don't feel like doing this business a certain day, I still do it. Like, for the past 2 years, I probably haven't missed a single day of doing my power hour ever. Whether I want to do it or I don't, it gets done. Whether I want to post 3 times a day or not, it gets done. I don't base this business off of emotion. Obviously, the days that I'm feeling inspired, the power hour does better, obviously. But whether I'm bummed or sick or busy, it just gets done. And I think so it's nothing special, but I think that's what makes coaches successful or not, because they're on for a week, they're off for a week, they're on for a week, they're off for a week, and you can't get momentum like that. So you just got to be on, and it'll just compound.
Love it. And that's what it's all about. It's when, like you said, you're tired, you have those bad days, you don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable to do it. I remember doing a training with Jeff Hill when I first started here, and he had said sometimes share on a ton of calls. So if you heard it, my apologies, but he says successful people are the ones willing to do uncomfortable things. Power hour, guys, is uncomfortable. Being the coach, totally uncomfortable. It's not normal what you do. Sorry, it's not. You're helping people get healthy, working out, do meal portions, you're talking to people, you're getting outside of your comfort zone. I mean, it's not normal, but if you're willing to go through the process, submit yourself to it, and do the uncomfortable things, you'll be successful. I think you see a good example with every coach on this call. If you look in Morgan's screen right now, you see on the wall behind her, that elite status back there didn't come with just going at it blindly, right? Getting your plan in place, executing, doing the uncomfortable things. So, and there's no reason why, guys, when we're doing these next calls, that we're not having you present, that you're not getting that elite status, you're not reaching those goals. Okay, it's our own limitations, it's our own fear that holds us back, and if we can get past that, boy, sky's the limit. So, Morgan, fantastic job. Thanks for giving us some time away from the franchise, time away from your team, from the fiance. That's pretty cool. Congrats. And just so you guys know, we'll do the next Top Coach Academy call, if you can see this on the screen, 2 weeks from now. Okay, same time, same Zoom link. It's going to be with our newest 6-star diamond coach, Erin Carrasco. Beginning of the year in January, she was an Emerald coach. Okay, and again, these are just titles and statuses. What matters is that she's helping a lot of people be successful, and so she's going to share what she's done to help create Emerald, to help develop leaders, and really instill a culture of success with her team. So share this with your teams. We want to max out this call, and thanks for being on, Morgan. Let's make sure to give Morgan a huge shout out in the chat box, post on her like page. Let's keep putting her on an emotional high for presenting so well today. So thank you, Morgan. Thanks everybody for being here. And remember, 71 days, actually almost 70 days left in the year. No regrets. Let's hit it hard, and we appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.